Oh, next Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right, did you win?
Oh. Oh, never mind, I got something.
No, but he would have won unanimously. Would have won.
Somebody said to me,
Oh, yeah, I like this
like,
one.
it's not that ugly. I'm like, oh, I can look. It's ugly.
No, it's, oh, it's.
It's a nutcracker.
All right, everyone. All right, we are on air. Welcome, everyone, to the December 16th meeting of the Auburn School Committee. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands,
a nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's start with introductions done here to my right, please.
Simpson at large.
Brian Belknap, Ward 4.
Pam Hart, Ward 2.
Our mics are on.
Hello.
Kara Matthew, Ward 3. Is that on?
Connie Brown, Superintendent of Schools.
Dan Poisson, Ward 5.
Brian Carrier, Mayor's Rep.
I don't think they're on.
I think they're on. We'll do. So we're going to pause for 1 second to do a mic check.
It'll be a quick meeting. We could just go run through it real quick. Nobody will know.
Oh, okay. Coming in through there. But I wonder if it's a television volume from there that you're, I don't know.
Oh, that's true. It doesn't say, hello, hello, hello? Oh, yeah, there you go. There's an echo.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. First item on the agenda is the approval of tonight's agenda, which includes the minutes from the December 2nd meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Brian Belknap, all those in favor? Motion passes. I should state that as far as attendance goes this evening, Corin McGuigan is on with us via Zoom. Although she cannot vote tonight, she is here to listen and add any information. We cannot pull her up. There's a new system, so she cannot be pulled up. Now I can hear my voice. She can't be pulled up through the television systems right now. And Faith Fontaine has an excused absence.
All right, I couldn't understand a word you just said. I don't, it's like bouncing or something.
I believe Nathaniel is trying to work with the.
Oh,
echo
okay, I
that's
just want
coming.
to, it's.
Yeah,
Oh,
but we can't understand.
what do we
yeah.
think? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
You're too echoey, maybe.
Okay,
Kind of echoey.
yeah.
Is that you?
Me.
Okay, so they're on, so let me know if you can hear this better. So,
Can we turn that, is it that? Remember how sometimes it was the volume over there that would cause an echo?
I don't know, we have our tech person is running around behind the scenes right now. I'm trying to figure this one out. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Public participation this evening. Let's open public participation up. We have the community room is available. Thank you, Mr. Anier.
Oh, no, I'm not. Okay, I'm gonna tell them. Oh,
Looking over there.
Yeah, all right. Okay. All righty. We have one person joining us for public participation.
Good evening.
Just one moment. I want to make sure that the
Sure.
camera is clicked onto you, because right now we see a lot of chairs. And so I think the tech person is going to click onto the podium, I believe. Nope, I see the camera moving a little bit. There we go. We're all good, Michelle.
Oh,
no,
Don't move her. Stay right there, please.
oh, okay, okay.
Stay right there, please. Hi.
Hi,
Welcome.
how are you? Hi, I'm Susan Simpson. So I am a mother of 2 children who live in Auburn. I am the wife of a school board member. I've been told that I should have no opinion because of my husband's position. So I just want to be very clear that I do have my own opinion and I'm my own person. And I'm also a social worker in this community. So first of all, My son is a senior at EL. He has one credit left, and he will be graduating. To address that issue first, I would really hope that this administration will look at the senior class and really think about what has happened for them this year. They lost half of their junior year. They're losing their senior year. I'm a really strong advocate that kids go back to school full-time. In my opinion, there's minimal reason for us to not be in school. So first, I guess that's my first thing, is really, we really need to look at this senior class of 2021. From their freshman year on, it has been, in my opinion, one mess after another. I think their sophomore year may have been the only year that there was no disservice done to them. So if we can get them back into school for January to June, or somehow let's get creative and think outside the box, I'd really appreciate that. They deserve that. Secondly, I have an 8th grader who we removed from AMS and sent her to St. Dom's. She's been in school from September to the present time. Monday through Friday, 16 kids in her class. They start at 7:50, they go to 2:20. When they've had to go remote, the teacher has gone to the classroom, if the kids are at home, and they are expected to be on their computers for the entire day, and the teachers are teaching, with the exception of lunch. So I guess I'm really concerned that Auburn is not doing more to think outside the box. We just purchased $1.9 million worth of equipment, or 2.1 million, whatever the $1 million number is. It's unacceptable to me that that is sitting on shelves, not being used. It's fiscally irresponsible that we have purchased that equipment and then we're not giving that tool to every student in the Auburn School Department. So it's frustrating. I know I'm not the only parent that is questioning why our kids aren't in school 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. The kids could stay in their cohorts, going to school their Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday, and the teachers could be teaching. My heart does go out to those teachers because they're making videos, they're doing 2 different plans of, for teaching. It's so much more work for teachers. And I know that many people don't have that same opinion, but it doesn't make sense to me that our kids cannot be receiving 5 days a week of school. So I would really like for that to be explained. There's no transparency at this point in why that technology has been purchased and it's sitting on shelves, not being utilized. Auburn should be giving our kids every single possible advantage to being educated. And it just doesn't feel like that's happening. I would like to also remind the school board members that in November of 2019, parents and taxpayers came out in droves to vote, and we wanted change for Auburn schools. We wanted our kids to be the focus of education. We wanted to be heard as parents. This school board, and I apologize, I know many of you, I think the world of many of you. My husband is one of you. I think that parents and students are still not being heard in this community, and it's a problem. We did a survey. The kids said they wanted to go back to school. The parents want kids back in school. Mental health-wise, we need our kids back in school. As a social worker in this community, the devastation is overwhelming as to what's happening to kids mental health-wise, parents' mental health, parents who had or were experiencing mental health issues prior to COVID, and now their kids are home. They're being asked to teach. We have many parents in this community who, in my opinion, the Auburn school system failed those parents. They don't have their GEDs. They barely got through high school. They're now trying to raise their own children, and they're being told that they need to teach their kids. I'm working with parents who, they call me and they're like, Susan, I don't know how to do this math. I can't call my teacher, my child's teacher, because I'm so embarrassed, I'm so ashamed. So now, not only do they struggle financially, they're struggling with mental health, they're struggling with food issues, and now they have to show up and say to their kids, I don't know how to do simple math. I don't know how to do this reading. But we're asking parents to do 3 days of teaching a week for a lot of these kids, and teachers are teaching 2 days. That's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. We need to do better. We need to have our teachers open. We need to have our administration open to helping these families out. And I want to be really, really clear that I am a strong advocate of teachers. I'm not necessarily, and I know you can't see my facial expressions because I have a mask on, I'm not a fan of administration. I think they have put teachers in a position of being the bad guys, and we have phenomenal teachers in this school district. I can't say enough about the Fairview teachers that my children grew up with. The teachers are the backbone of this community and of our society. And we need to be supporting those teachers. We should not be asking them to do 2 or 3 different plans. We need to give them simple tools, simple expectations, and really show that we're there for them and make sure that they're able to do the job that they signed up for, which was teaching kids. It's discouraging and it's heartbreaking to me what's happening in this community. Auburn School Department can do better. We should be thinking outside the box. We should be using this $1.9 million worth of tools and getting kids educated, giving parents support. I'm just rambling, but I'm brokenhearted at this point. I know parents and teachers have been pitted against each other, which is wrong. It should not be that way. We should be able to work together, and I really feel like the past administration has created a culture in this community that has been detrimental to education and to parents working together. So again, I just want to say I'm a strong advocate of teachers. I believe in teachers, and I believe that parents and teachers can partner, but the administration needs to do something different, and that's the school board, the superintendent, the principals of all the schools. They need to support us, and they need to support the teachers. And by doing that, you give them the tools and you set expectations. I could ramble on and on and on, but
Mrs. Simpson, I want to cut you off. I have absolutely, I want you to know that your words have definitely been heard, and that your words have been heard, and they are taken to heart, absolutely.
Thank you.
Taken to heart. And so I thank you for coming up tonight and for being one of the first people to come and publicly participate with us.
Thank you. And I would like to say that putting parents in a room all by themselves, I don't know if I'm looking at the camera over here, if I'm supposed to be looking at myself on the screen or where I'm supposed to be, but this is insulting that I'm sitting in a room by myself, not even able to make eye contact with the people that I'm trying to address. Again, it needs to be addressed, the insulting behavior that continues to take place in this community towards parents. It's unacceptable. I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. I hope you all stay safe, and I hope you guys continue to look at how to think outside the box, because from March to June, we should have learned lessons. From September to December, we should be learning lessons, and we should go into January with a whole different look. And it should be our kids being educated. And I'll stop now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. Anyone else in public participation this evening? There was only just one, I believe. I believe so. All right, thank you. Mrs. Simpson brought up a lot of valid points. She brought up points that I know as a school committee we have brought up as well and continue to address, and I'm certainly not dismissing anything that she's just said. So it's constantly making sure that we are doing the best we can every day for our kids, so.
I have a question, actually, because you brought up a point about the AV system sitting on shelves. Is the AV system sitting on shelves not being used, or have they been implemented in? I'm sorry, I'm trying to read two things. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I don't think we're getting an echo in here. I don't believe we are. Not that I'm hearing it. Okay, go ahead, Pam.
So, Mrs. Simpson brought up a point about the AV system not being used by everyone and sitting on shelves, collecting dust. And my question is that happening? Or because my understanding was that they were being implemented and they were being put in all the schools. So what is happening with that?
Tell me if you can hear me. So the Washburn Elementary School was one of the last schools to get the Pro AV system. I was there yesterday and watching them install it. It's not on the shelf. It's in the classroom with microphones and cameras. I've seen it being used at all of the levels. We've had a lot of professional development recently for staff. That's gone over really well. And I think it's starting to grow.
Okay, so they're all set up now, then all the AV systems are set up?
It's my understanding that we are at the very tail end of that implementation. I don't think Peter is here tonight, but I believe Washburn was the last school, and the last classrooms are now being installed.
And now, in the beginning, we had talked about how there was going to be a certain group that we're going to start, and then we were going to build from that. Are all the teachers going to be teaching with it now?
The teachers that I've talked with enjoy using it. I've talked with some teachers who have started to become familiar with it. They've asked for more professional development. We've provided that for them. In terms of universal use right now, I don't think that we're there with it.
All right, thank you very much. Again, we'll just continue to grow. Educating kids as much as we can should be the goal, and not asking families to do some of the things that Mrs. Simpson brought up is it's just not doing right by kids. So let's continue to keep moving forward. All right, presentations this evening, I don't believe we have any, so moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. My report is short. I just would like to update the committee that the State Board of Education meeting was moved from December 9 to then December 16, and now it's on December 21st. And this is the meeting where they will give design and funding approval for the new Edward Little High School. And that meeting is now scheduled for the 21st at 1 o'clock in the Burton Cross building in Augusta.
It's hard to hear.
It's echoey.
It's very echoey. Isn't it? It's hard to hear,
Can't hear.
yeah, I have to really focus on you to understand what you're saying. Plus I'm hard of hearing, so it doesn't help.
And that's it for me.
Okay, great. I think Adam is going to go and try to maybe shut down the other room. I think maybe
That's what it is.
the echo might be coming from the other room. I've just seen the tech kind of floating back and forth again. All right. Sorry, superintendent's report. Next on the agenda is the chairperson's report. December 21st, meeting with the city council for the purpose of budget discussions. That is, to my understanding, that is a joint council. That's a joint meeting between the school committee and the city council. I believe they are working out better. Okay, great, thank you. I believe they are working out some logistics as far as if we can all be in the same room, if we are going to need to use the community room, what that could potentially look like. So we are all invited to the December 21st meeting, which is at
5:30, I believe. When Adam comes in, I'll double check that, but I think it's 5:30.
Okay.
And the regular council meeting starts at 7.
We really need to fix this issue, because Brian
So
can't
you
hear.
can't.
I know,
I'm not
it's like-
hearing
it's
anything
like
that you
Charlie
guys are
Brown.
saying, so.
I I feel like we're in a Charlie Brown
I
cartoon
feel
right
like
now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like wah, wah,
Very
wah,
tough.
wah, wah.
I'm really trying to focus and I'm really trying
Yeah.
to listen, but
Okay, our
It
tech
is-
got, oh, how's it now? Still echoey? 5:30,
Yeah.
city council, Monday night.
The city council meeting is 5:30 on Monday, right?
Okay, all right.
I understood him.
Workshop, yeah.
No,
I
do we
can
not
understand
use-
you, Adam.
I can use my recess voice, if you want me to just put the mic away and use my recess voice, I have no problem doing that, if that's.
That's fine, that's fine with
I can
me.
hear you better
I can hear you
without
better.
it.
You hear me better like that? All right, I will take this off, All right, next, so any questions about that, and its, initial budget discussions? Okay, next, city council update from Mr. Carrier.
We're waiting for the meeting next week to go over the budget, the budgetary items. We've gotten some preliminary stuff from some of the departments, and the city manager will be sitting down later on with the department heads to start looking at it. So the impression that we make next week and how it's presented will make a big difference to where we're going to be standing with the budget. We did get some fairly decent news from Ms. Eastman, who is in finance, that as it stands right now, with the exception of some excise tax, our budgetary projections are coming in fairly decently. We're still ready for the end of the year and stuff, but not as dire as we thought it might be this year, although the projections are falling off. So that's where we're at.
Can you also update the school committee, Mr. Carrier, on the city council resolve that was passed last Monday night?
It was brought forward by a councilman that, find it here real quick. Yeah. There was a lot of discussion in regards to this. It's based on the needs and the wants of the residents of the city of Auburn and the physical and psychological needs of our youth. The council resolves for the school committee to implement a plan for the youth to return to school at least 4 days per week starting January 4th. There was a lot of discussion, and it was pointed out that the council can make suggestions to the school board, but that's the extent of the cross goings on between the two boards. There was also explained to them that we take direction from the Department of Education as well, and that the decision whether or not to return to a fuller schedule for the students lies solely with the school committee.
All right, any questions regarding the resolve? Has anything changed from the Department of Education or anything, any parameters shifted in a different direction that would allow us to meet this resolve?
Two things. One, the CDC and the DOE sent out new standard operating procedures last night. I should say updated, they're not really new. They included things for physical education, extracurricular activities, music, and some of the guidelines that had been less clear. Michelle, the steering committee met today, and they are beginning to formulate a plan to provide more in-person learning for students. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure. I can give you a synopsis. I believe what's happening is we're getting a feedback because of the volume on the laptop, the person who's remote right now. And so when you have two people in the same room on Zoom, you may have experienced that. So that might be something that's causing does that make sense? I think Dave's nodding. I know we've run into that with people on Zoom in the same room. But yes, we've been working at this steering committee now. You might remember last meeting when I talked briefly about the committee beginning that work of identifying what options would be to bring students in for more in-person learning experiences. And so that actually today, we continued that work of going back to that list and starting to identify of the options that we identified, what were the benefits and what were some of the obstacles that would result from those different options that we were weighing and looking at. That will continue after today's conversation. At our next meeting, we're going to dive deeper into the options that we feel are viable options to be considering and increasing the times that students are in. Of course, we're balancing that with the safety precautions. That's our backdrop, is the safety precautions that Dr. Brown, you just reminded us about in terms of the guidelines that are coming from the state, with some adjustment to them, but also in light of the community transmission that's taking place right now. So the variables that are influencing them, we're still moving forward, because our goal is not if, it's when we come back and we can increase student learning. We want to be moving on that path and moving that ahead and being ready at the time that it's appropriate. So I'm happy to answer questions about that.
Is there any questions for either Michelle or Dr. Brown?
What are the SOPs for the physical education, music, and extracurricular? What has changed? What has specifically changed with physical education, music, and extracurricular activities that we got from the DOE?
I can't tell you specifically. I haven't had a chance to dive into that deeply, but certainly what they've done is, some of those things are things that we have already known, but that have come out in guidance, but that haven't been added to the reentry plan document itself. They hadn't updated it, so they've updated some of that. There was something, and Pam, I'll look while we're talking, that I read last night that was different, but it wasn't substantively different. It was, again, going off guidance that music associations were making recommendations on, but I can't pull it up. I'll look.
Any other questions for Michelle? Yes.
I will say that that was one of the questions that was asked of me at the last council meeting, is they wanted to know if it was possible for us to come back by January 4th, and my answer to them was, in a perfect world, yes, we should be able to do that, given an entire month being able to get ready for it. But I told them, in practical purposes, because there are so many moving parts, that probably is not going to be the case. I'm pretty sure the council would like any kind of information that they can get as far as what a time frame would be if suddenly tomorrow they wanted to be able to, move the school back to normal schedule, what that would entail, to give them some kind of idea. And I don't know if we did this the last time, but it was asked about the survey, and I only had my copy because I did think about the fact that the rest of the council had not received the survey. If we could send that stuff like that to the council so that we would be able to more thoroughly discuss it. Just more information makes it a little bit easier.
Okay, any other questions for Dr. Brown or Michelle at this time? So Michelle, if I heard you correctly, this is the goal is not can we, but the goal is not if we can, but when we can and how we can. Increase in-person learning, keeping the safety measures at hand. I just want to make sure that I was hearing correctly.
Sorry,
Yes, I would say.
Okay.
One more question. How many teachers or support staff need to be quarantined to close a school?
Oh, I wish it were that easy.
Well, because we've seen it already with AMS, and Dr. Brown had to go and teach, which is also a valid concern. We have a limited amount of staff, so that was just one of the concerns, one of the issues I was wondering about.
Each school has unique variables that influence when we would be looking at whether we were moving to remote learning and not having in-person learning. So each school, and then within that, many times it's even that period of time, that particular period of time, what's going on. So you're referring to the AMS situation when it was a staffing issue. There are times, the current situation, we have cases, a number of cases, and they go across the school into the different cohorts. And so that was the variable that we were looking at. So there isn't anything in any of the guidance from the DOE or from the CDC that says when. That is the local decision that is being made. But really what it is the conversations with the people who are directly involved and determining based on what is the safest route to take given how the situation is playing out. So if you have disparate cases that aren't connected, that leads you in one direction. If you have cases that are connected and you have more cases growing from that, then you go in a different direction. So it depends on the information that around the particular cases in that school.
So again, the goal, increasing student learning, in-person student learning, as quickly as we can, as safely as we can, but also I think increasing opportunities for learning, such as our Pro AV system. If I can't be in the building, can I then click onto my classroom and be in my classroom? I think those are really two of the really big things that I know I heard tonight. Yes, Dan?
I think, is tomorrow a snow day, remote day?
Yes.
Are they using the AV system for that tomorrow, do you know?
No, because the staff would not be able to get into the buildings, given the weather conditions. So they will be working from home tomorrow.
So there were probably, I know my son has already gotten Zoom links, and so he will be Zooming in versus using the Pro AV system.
I have to say, my son has, he's a senior in high school, and he has 2 teachers that do use the AV system and has consistency in his class. And it's wonderful because usually he's cohort A, so he's Monday, Tuesday, he's on, or he's at school, and the Thursday, Friday, he's 7 a.m. He is up, and there is a couple classes that he sees, and I think, if we could do it that way so that kids do get educated 4 times a week, I mean, it would be really beneficial, whether they be in person or they be at home, but getting that education and that consistency, because he does have another class where Monday and Tuesday, he's learning something, and then Thursday and Friday, the cohort that's in person is learning what he learned on Monday. So there's no consistency. So to me, that's extra work for the teacher, that's redundant for the child, and for me, that's why I voted for the AV system, because I wanted that consistency. And I felt that would be the easiest thing for everybody involved. So I'm hoping that is what the goal is here.
All right, I think we can move on. All right, committee reports. Oh, that's why I gave you that opportunity then. Did you?
Oh, sorry, you said questions, I didn't have a question.
Oh, sorry, questions, comments.
Okay, I do have a comment about the resolve. So when I heard the resolve, I started thinking about what was brought up was mental health. And so I started doing my own research, and it is something that I've been thinking about, and I've been concerned with my own children. I have a daughter in college, and I have a son who's a senior. So I started reading, and I read that the CDC had done a study of kids between ages 10 and 24, and the rate of suicide and deterioration of mental health had increased by 60% between the 2007 and 2018. So the data tells us that mental health and suicide have been on an upward trend way before COVID reared its ugly head. So of course, COVID has exacerbated everything, and it's brought a lot to the surface, including suicide and mental health. And it's a valid concern for our students and our teachers and our support staff and everybody. Oftentimes we've made mental health a taboo issue, and we shouldn't, because everybody can benefit from mental health. So I guess my issue with the resolve is I feel that even though we've been having an increase in mental health, and it's a truly valid problem, I don't believe that increasing the in-person school days at a time when COVID numbers are exponentially rising and our schools are going to remote because of the increase in number of cases in our district. To that end, though, if our concern is mental health of our youth, which is a valid concern and should be a concern, then rather than invoke a resolve, which is basically an opinion, then maybe we could be allowed the funds to hire mental health professionals to address these mental health concerns now and in the future. Because mental health concerns are not just gonna be over once COVID is over. And so for me, a solution would be more beneficial than a resolve. Sorry, that's it.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt. All right, thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, moving on. Let's move on to committee reports then. Policy committee meeting, we have our, let's see, standing agenda policies here. Policy committee has met. We have lots of policies to review. I just want to make sure that I am not, finance subcommittee, we have that one. Let's start with finance subcommittee, for our first stab at it.
All right. The finance met at 3:30 on December 10th to go over. If you wanted to follow in your packet, it starts on page 14. We've got the audit back from RKO. Again, because of the diligent work that's done by the finance department, we had another good year with being in tune with stuff. There were only 3 small items to reconcile. The first one is school-city reconciliation, the 2 systems working together. Adam and Jackie have been doing a lot of work with that, trying to make it as smooth as possible. But that's just one of the suggestions they used. The second one was documenting the school lunch substitution rates, which is solely a documentation issue, not a real problem, but it's just that they like to have it documented. And the third thing is figuring out the fiscal year's rate when accruing for compensated absences. In other words, if you accrue time off, instead of paying it at next year's rate, they suggested to us that we do it at this year's rate to put us in line with it. So that's the only thing they find, that they will be another meeting, joint meeting with the city and the school board when they present their overall findings for both the city and the school board. Ryan did an update of the special education department, and I'm just going to go over the highlight of that. Right down at the bottom of the paragraph. For the first time in recent years, Ryan was able to state that out-of-district tuition count is projected to be in the black by $56,386. So that's a very good thing. Even though that there are some issues, it's the first time in quite a while, as he pointed out, that we've been able to do that, that they've been able to do that. So it's, we still have some teacher issues, 2 teachers, 15 ed techs, and a speech pathologist that we're short. So those issues are hurting us at this point. They did fill the speech path slot with contract folks, so that's being covered. We also know that next year the allocation for special education could be up by 13%, which is another $1 million, which is another good thing for us. We did have a revenue shortfall for Franklin. Adam, just jumping in here if I miss anything. I'm just reading through your, $44,000 to this due to the fact that 8 students were attending and didn't have any revenue for that. But there is a potential for $1 million in savings if the current budget due to the hiring situation. So that's not a good thing, but it's also not a bad thing, having the savings and having the money that are available. Could be a savings in the substitutes, savings for the substitute teachers. Our CRF spending has either been spent or is encumbered to this point. So we're pretty much done with that. They did give us till February to invoice all of that. So instead of trying to have everything done by December 31st, they've given us now until February, which gives us a little bit more time to get that done. As far as project updates, the Franklin elevator will be going out and coming back in February for bids. The Walton bus loop is almost complete. The AMS freezer is in. The AMS office work is almost done, but there's an issue with the contractor has the same problem that everybody else has. They don't have enough workers to get the work done and get it out of the way. Both East Auburn and Washington portable buildings are in place. They're just waiting to be hooked up. There's an issue in East Auburn with heaters that have not worked properly, so Mr. Hunter's working with them on the warranty issues for those. The 7 old buses are being sold. We're not going to get much for them, but that's money that we can be added back to cost. We are looking at 2 new buses for next year, even though we bought several this year, rather than stop the process and then try to pick it up 2 years down the line. If we continue on, they're looking at replacing the 2 oldest buses that have at least 125,000 miles on them. So, other than that, the only other thing is Dr. Brown is requesting, in regards to the school department, that the city waive the $98,000 in building permits for the ELH permit. So we'll be doing that at the next meeting.
That is on our agenda for tonight, so we'll, if a motion goes through, we'll have opportunity for conversation, discussion, debate around that topic as well. All right. Thank you.
Could I asked this question Thursday, and you answered it, and I can't remember what you said. But we've been, through the Auburn School Department, I don't know if it's a pass-through grant to the city, for the daycare that we've been providing for a lot of families. That expires December 30th. And I guess my question is, has this been messaged to families that when we come back in January, you're on your own?
So it's my understanding, so I just want to make this, because there was a lot of feedback. I want to make sure that it's my understanding that the $800,000 that Adam was able to secure in daycare funding is ending as of December 31st. Parents were notified back at the beginning of December, I believe, or within the last
Yeah,
10
it was
days or
December
so.
7th.
Social media, so and that was, I remember now you answered the question, but it's one of those things that hopefully folks are hearing it
They were
and taking
emailed
action.
or communicated, yes, it was emailed or communicated to them. I immediately asked if there was any more funding that we can provide. So Adam, I'd say raise your hand. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, the individual partners are taking care of the communication with the families that are currently enrolled. But I've asked them, the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, and the city to get us their information of what the options are moving forward. And we're gonna do everything we can to get that info out in the next couple weeks. In fact, I got a letter today, so once we have a chance to go through that, we'll get that info out to the families the best way we can of what their options are to move ahead with those programs.
Thank you.
But just the funding piece, unfortunately, is going away, and we have heard nothing of it being renewed.
Pam and I just let out a couple of big sighs because in my mind, I think right away when I think about who should we sort of encourage to get back first, I really hope we're looking at our littles who this is really impacting families and daycare and now having lost some funding. So I hope we can explore every option that's out there and use Susan's words and really think about outside of the box type of things for our community. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to accept the finance report for November 2020 as presented.
Move.
Second.
Second, thank you, Mr. Belknap. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, any other subcommittee reports? Michelle, do you want to jump in? I think you got some information on the music PE question.
Pam just was able to look back quickly, because I had read it, but I
Big recess voice, Michelle.
Sorry, yeah, and I'm hard to
and here, I'm trying to find the balance between this and not that, right? So I did look back, and as I reviewed, the only they put a lot of substance in there that was not in there before, based on, like I had said, the recommendations coming out of the music associations and the physical education associations on what needed to be in place given the guidelines. So those things aren't going to be new to the teachers, but what is new and explicitly said is the yellow and red designation for music. That if a county, they say school, but it really is the county, is saying if they're yellow or red, they should suspend the music ensembles accordingly, much like we are doing with the athletics. So there's a lot of specific nitty-gritties in there about what it should look like in a music room and how that should happen, about the equipment and how that's used. But those were things that the teachers were already, I think to the most part, were very aware of.
Thank you very much, Michelle. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a really quick comment, which is probably taboo, but I want to lift up Mr. Buzza. That for some reason, my son found in his senior year, he needed to take guitar. And it's consistently the class that goes 4 days a week. And Mr. Buzza's communication with us, with him, it's amazing. He's having fun. And I know it's a challenging time for all teachers. I've known Mr. Buzza for a long time, and I've shot him emails. He never responds to me. So publicly, I'd like to just rise him up for his effort.
I second that.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you both. Okay, moving on, old business. Let's move on to some policies, please. Policy,
The ELHS.
oh, sorry,
Building.
sorry, everyone. More committees, that's right, the building committee met. Sorry, I'm very sorry about that.
It's okay.
Building committee met, last night, I believe. Pam, do you have an update on the building committee?
So, a little bit, yeah. So we met last night via Zoom with Harriman and found out that Harriman is completing the construction documents. Kleinfeld recordation continues. The last stages of the report they're working on. They've got 7 pre-qualified general contractors, and they've all been notified. The documents are ready for bid, and they were going to be bidded on today. They put in ads on a website, and that's where they ended up getting their bid, the general contractors. It's a strong list of general contractors. On the 7th of January, there's going to be a mandatory walkthrough for the general contractors at the present Edward Little site and at the site of the new EL to familiarize themselves. We're on the cusp of a state board approval, and they're well prepared for the state board. They're meeting on Monday. Harriman doesn't anticipate state bid issues. The bid date is 12/16/2020, and the project documents will also be ready on that day. On February 2nd, they're going to be filing a sub-trade bid to the AGC, which is the Association of General Contractors, and they help facilitate sub-trade bids. On the 9th of February, contractors and all non-trade bids are going to be picked. Contractors will be looking at docs and pricings, and the documents will have many addendums to address the questions, biddings, pricings, etc. Bid for trades and requiring prices. If the prices are within our budget, then the process will be straightforward to contract. If the prices are over budget, then we're going to enter in a value engineer to look for potential savings to award the contract. This may take several weeks to adjust, and that's probably when we're going to look at that document they gave us. Well, what if we make tweaks to this one or tweaks to that one, and how can we save money? On March 9th, the back half of the site will be available to contracts. The plan is to update the community with the final state, once the final state board has approved. Harriman will draft something and give it to Dr. Brown to give out to the community. So the documents are available today to bidders, and February is when we anticipate that the bids will come in. Our next meeting is on the 23rd of February at 6 p.m. Do you have anything to add, Adam?
I think that was a great summary. It's hard to believe it's here. The bid is out
I know.
after 3 years plus. So it's really exciting that things are actually starting to happen, and the ground will be broken in the spring. So it's here. It's happening.
Harriman is so excited too, because apparently, what I got from that meeting also is the old EL, they had a small part in that, but then they kind of left the process. But now, obviously, they've been from the ground up in this process, so it's very exciting for them, because they've had a little part in the old building, and now they're having a major impact on this building, so kudos to them.
Thank you. I do appreciate that the conversation was had last night too about making sure we stay in budget and where the conversation needs to go next if bids come over budget. Okay, great, thank you. Any other committees that I may have?
I just had a quick question. Where are we as far as the school contribution, the fund? I see that in the finance committee, we're still down to the money that was in there before. Have we been able to do anything at all with that?
I didn't hear.
Where are we in the fundraising?
Oh, fundraising.
So I guess I've kind of been tasked to do this, which I don't know what the heck I was thinking. But part of it too is I want to know where we're at as far as the funds that we've already gotten. Because I know that there are some funds in the balance, and getting to know that as well, and just starting to get some kind of momentum going and getting people in the community. I definitely think that asking alumni to donate for a specific thing, even a name on a seat or a name, somewhere is definitely something that we should be looking at. As one person, I definitely can't take on this whole thing, but I think with a bunch of people in the community, I think we'll be able to do some fundraising.
Okay, so if I heard you right, it's sort of like, you're taking the charge, but you are going to need a committee
Yes.
that you will work with. Okay,
Yes.
so those are your next steps on that
Yes.
one. Okay. And making sure that you understand exactly where we're at with financials and all of that, which would be Adam and Dr. Brown to meet with them. Okay, all right, wonderful. Any other committees? All right, seeing none, and I've already done the finance report, so now I believe we will go down to old business, if I didn't miss anything. All right, old business. Can I entertain a motion to approve policy BE school committee meetings for a second reading, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Belknap. Can I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Carrier. All those in favor? Motion carries. Policy JLIB, student dismissal precautions. Can I entertain a motion to approve policy JLIB?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Belknap. Second from Mr. Simpson. All those in favor? Seeing no opposed, motion carries. Policy ACAD, hazing. Motion to approve policy ACAD for a second reading.
So moved. Second.
There, thank you, Mr. Belknap. All those in favor? Motion carries, thank you. Policy JIFCA, student hazing, a motion to approve policy JIFCA, student hazing for a second reading and deletion. This one's being deletion. It was.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Belknap. Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Let's take a vote. All those in favor? Motion carries, thank you. Moving on, new business. Building permit fees, so this one I'm gonna need a little discussion around. A motion to request that the Auburn City Council waive local building permit fees in the amount of $98,025 for the construction of the new Edward Little High School. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Pam, was that you?
Second.
All right. Okay, let's open it up for questions, comments before I take vote. Any questions or comments about this one?
I think it just makes sense. I mean, we're paying ourselves, or, it's.
I can't hear you.
I understand
So
you.
sorry. Big voice, Mr. Simpson.
It'd be the city of Auburn paying the city of Auburn. Right?
Essentially.
I mean, so if it can be waived, I think it's, nobody loses. There's no necessarily winner, but it's a wash.
Yep. And Adam, Adam had a memo in our packet today regarding this. Adam, can you speak to that memo a little bit that you sent to, that was in our onboarding packet?
Sure, so, we've received an invoice from the city for the $98,000. That would be the normal amount that would be assessed for a building of this size. And so, there has been discussion for a couple years about that perhaps the city would waive the fees so that, as Mr. Simpson said, the city isn't essentially paying itself a fee, which they then repay over 20 years with interest. As I look at it, it makes no sense for the taxpayers of Auburn to do that. And so the city had requested that we bring it to them as a formal request. And so with that in mind, I put together the memo to Dr. Brown to bring to you tonight in the hopes that the school committee will forward this request to city council. And I believe they're scheduled to take it up Monday at their meeting. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but I agree with Mr. Simpson. It would not make any sense to ask the taxpayers to borrow this money to pay themselves.
With interest.
With interest.
With interest. Any other questions, comments?
Would that permit process be, would they have to hire people to keep track of that, or would they be able to do with the staff they have? Do you know that answer?
You asked, would the city be able to carry out?
Yeah, say they had, is there reasoning for that invoice because they have to hire somebody to keep track of that, or?
No, it's
Okay.
just the standard, my understanding is the standard fees they would assess on any project, based on the size of the project.
Yeah. And I didn't know if there's any cost associated to the city with that,
Just the time of their staff, and
Okay.
obviously it is
So
a
it's only
very
time,
involved
okay.
project, but
I didn't know
their
if there
staff
was
will be handling
state filings they had to do or other.
No, it's basically all staff,
Okay.
and it's, again, we're paying ourselves to do
Yeah,
our own
that
work.
doesn't make
so.
sense, I would think.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I think we're ready for a vote. All those in favor, for a motion to request that the Auburn City Council waive local building permit fees of $98,000 for the construction of the new Edward Little High School. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion passes. All right, policy JLA, student insurance programs, a motion to approve policy JLA for a first reading and deletion, please. Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Belknap. Thank you, Mr. Carrier. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'm going to take a vote. All those in favor? Passes. Policy DFF, Student Activity Fund. Can I entertain a motion to approve policy DFF, Student Activity Funds for first reading, please?
So moved.
Belknap, can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions, comments? Let's take a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Policy JJF, Activities Fund Management. A motion to approve policy JJF for first reading and deletion.
So moved.
Second.
Belknap. Thank you, Mr. Poisson. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Policy JJF-R, Activities Fund Management Procedures. Can I entertain a motion to approve the policy, please?
Second.
Mr. Carrier, thank you, Mr. Belknap. Questions, comments? Seeing none, take a vote. All those in favor? Motion passes. All right, upcoming meetings, we have two coming up in January, January 6th at 6 o'clock and January 20th, as well at 6 o'clock. Don't forget Monday night, joint meeting with City Council. Future agenda items and request for information. I think it's constantly going to be, I know for me, the constant request for information is just continuously updating steps forward into inviting students back into in-person learning. I think it's a conversation we need to keep having. That's definitely an item I'd like to have constantly talked about. Any other at this time? All right.
I think definitely the mental health of students, we need to definitely address that, not just now, but for the future as well. And again, I think if we had the funds to hire mental health professionals to help address this, it would be wonderful. But I definitely think we need to keep an eye on that.
Okay. Thank you. Any others? Okay. All right, at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to move into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405D for the purpose of negotiations between public employer and public employees. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Belknap. Thank you, Mr. Carrier. All those in favor? All right, we are now in executive session, ladies and gentlemen.